Kevin Hart was kicked out of a luxury car dealership, but what happened next left everyone speechless. You won't believe how he flipped the script and turned humiliation into triumph. Stay till the end, and don't forget to share this video, because respect and equal treatment should never be optional. Kevin Hart was lounging on his couch, scrolling through endless messages, the TV murmuring in the background. To the world, he was a comedic mastermind, a pro at turning life's craziness into laughter. But behind the scenes, it was a grind like no other. Movies, stand-up specials, promo tours, his calendar was a non-stop machine, leaving barely a second to breathe. Despite all the accolades, all the millions, something felt off. It wasn't about chasing another deal or stacking another trophy. He wanted to celebrate himself, to mark the years of sweat and sacrifice with something that screamed, "I made it." Then it hit him. A car. Not just any car, but the car. The kind he used to dream about as a kid in Philly, flipping through glossy magazines in the corner store, mesmerized by the sleek curves of Lamborghinis and Ferraris. Back then, even owning a rusty old sedan with mismatched doors felt out of reach. Now, he had the power to walk into any dealership and drive out in whatever he wanted. The next morning, with a rare break in his packed schedule, he threw on a black hoodie, jeans, and sneakers, no flash, no entourage. This was personal. His assistant had mentioned a high-end dealership in Beverly Hills, a place dripping with exclusivity and filled with rare, elite machines. That's where he was headed. The moment he stepped inside, he felt the energy shift. The showroom was a temple of wealth, glass, chrome, marble floors that gleamed like they'd never been touched. Exotic cars sat on display like pieces of art, each one crafted to perfection. Kevin took it all in, his fingers brushing over the hood of a fiery red sports car. Then, the voice. Crisp. Calculated. "Can I help you?" Kevin turned. A young salesman in a tailored navy suit stood before him, his face polite, but his eyes giving away something else, doubt. Kevin grinned. "Yeah, just admiring the beauty here. What's the story on this one?" The salesman's lips curled, but not into a real smile. More like amusement. "The story? Well, sir, this is the kind of car for someone who knows exactly what they're looking for. It's not really for browsing." Kevin raised an eyebrow but kept his tone light. "Good thing I'm not just browsing then. Let's talk specs." The salesman's gaze flickered down. The hoodie. The jeans. The sneakers. He nodded, but his smile stayed forced. "Of course. Just so we're clear, these aren't entry-level vehicles. They start in the mid-six-figure range." Kevin felt it. Not the price tag, he could buy 10 of these cars before lunch. But the assumption. The doubt. The unspoken "you sure you belong here?" Before he could respond, another voice cut in. "He's right, you know." A man in a sharp gray suit stood nearby, admiring a car of his own. And just like that, things were about to get interesting, the full experience without tipping them off. "We need undeniable proof, something that speaks louder than words." Marcus smirked. "Man, this is next level. Exposing them in their own playground? I love it." Kevin leaned forward, his hands clasped together. "It's bigger than just calling out one dealership. This is about opening people's eyes. About showing that this kind of treatment happens all the time. People just don't see it because they're not looking. Well, we're about to make them look." The team exchanged glances, the weight of the mission settling over them. Tasha jotted down notes. "We need a plan for how you'll go in, what you'll say, how we'll capture every detail. We can edit it into a clean, compelling story, but the raw footage has to speak for itself." Kevin nodded. "Exactly. No gimmicks, no over-the-top reactions. Just the truth, plain and simple." Marcus chuckled. "Oh, I can't wait to see their faces when this drops." And just like that, the wheels were in motion. The next morning, Kevin dressed the same way, hoodie, jeans, sneakers, but this time, he wasn't just walking into a showroom. He was walking into a moment that could shift the conversation. As he pulled up to the dealership, cameras rolling discreetly, he took a deep breath. Let's see if they recognize me this time. Opened the glass door, stepping inside like he had the first time, casual, unassuming, just another potential customer. The cool air of the showroom hit him instantly, carrying that same expensive scent of polished leather and exclusivity. The layout was the same, the cars gleaming under pristine showroom lights, but this time, Kevin wasn't just here to admire them, he was here to expose something deeper. He strolled toward the same red sports car, letting his fingers glide over the smooth hood, just like before. It didn't take long. "Can I help you?" The same voice. The same crisp, detached tone. Kevin turned and found himself face to face with the same salesman, still in his sharp navy suit, still carrying that barely there smirk. And just like last time, the moment their eyes met, Kevin could see it, the flicker of doubt, the silent assessment. "Yeah," Kevin said smoothly, keeping his tone casual. "Just looking to get some details on this one." The salesman hesitated, just a second too long, before responding. "Well, sir, as I mentioned before, these vehicles aren't exactly entry-level. We like to make sure our clientele understands the investment they're making." Kevin fought back a smirk. Same line. Almost word for word. "Perfect. Good thing I understand investments," then, Kevin replied, keeping his expression neutral. "So, tell me, what makes this one special?" The salesman's posture shifted slightly, but the doubt in his eyes remained. He launched into a rehearsed speech about horsepower, aerodynamics, and custom features, but his tone lacked the enthusiasm he'd likely have given another customer. Kevin could feel it, the unspoken assumption still hanging between them. And that's when it happened. Another customer, a middle-aged man in a tailored gray suit, stepped into view, eyeing a luxury coupe nearby. The salesman's demeanor changed in an instant. His tone brightened, his stance opened, his energy lifted. Kevin watched as the same guy who had barely concealed his skepticism just seconds ago suddenly transformed into a polished, engaged salesman. "Sir, this model is truly exceptional, one of the finest in our collection." Kevin tilted his head slightly, waiting to see what would happen next. "Oh, wow," the suited customer said, running a hand over the car's sleek frame. "And what's the price range on something like this?" The salesman chuckled. "For a discerning buyer like yourself, I'm sure we can work something out." Kevin didn't miss the shift in body language, the warmth, the willingness to engage. No warnings about price tags. No condescending explanations. Just business as usual for someone who looked the part. The hidden cameras were catching everything. Kevin turned back to the red sports car, his fingers drumming lightly on the hood. "So," he said, cutting through the salesman's conversation. "Are we gonna talk numbers or what?" The salesman blinked, clearly thrown off by Kevin's persistence. "I just want to be sure we're on the same page," he said, forcing a tight smile. "These models start at 6 figures, yeah, I heard you the first time," Kevin interrupted smoothly. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. "Let's do this, then." Before the salesman could respond, Kevin tapped a few buttons, then held the screen up, his bank account balance glowing in 6, 7, 8 figures. The salesman's eyes widened, his mouth parting slightly. Kevin let the moment hang, then slid his phone back into his pocket. "Now, you still think I don't belong here?" The tension in the room was palpable. The salesman stumbled over his words. "Oh, of course not, Mr. Hart, I didn't mean." Kevin chuckled, shaking his head. "Nah, I think you meant exactly what you said." With that, he turned and strolled out, Marcus and Tasha falling in step behind him. As they stepped into the California sunlight, Marcus let out a low whistle. "Damn, Kev. You really had to do him like that?" Kevin smirked. "Nah. He did it to himself." What happened next? The footage went viral. The internet erupted. The dealership scrambled for damage control, issuing a half-hearted apology. But Kevin knew the impact went beyond that. It wasn't about one salesman, one dealership, or even one moment. It was about pulling back the curtain on something much bigger. And for everyone who had ever been made to feel less than, it was a reminder. They weren't imagining it. It was real. And now, the world had to see it. Then simply because of someone else's assumptions. As the city blurred past the car windows, Kevin leaned back, staring at the ceiling. The frustration still simmered, but beneath it was something stronger, resolve. They really thought they could play me twice, Marcus muttered, shaking his head. Like you were just some random dude off the street. Kevin chuckled, though there was no humor in it. Nah, man. That's the point. I could have been anybody. That's why this matters. Tasha glanced at the footage on her laptop, nodding. We got exactly what we needed. The way the salesman switched up, the way that customer spoke to you, it's all right here, plain as day. This is going to hit hard. Kevin exhaled sharply, running a hand over his face. He knew this video wasn't just going to be another viral clip. It was bigger than that. It was about pulling the curtain back on a reality so many people faced but rarely got proof of. Next step? Marcus asked, glancing at him. Kevin's eyes narrowed with focus. Now, we take it up a notch. The second visit. The next time Kevin walked through those glass doors, he wasn't just Kevin Hart in a hoodie and sneakers. He was Kevin Hart, global superstar. Draped in a tailored designer suit, an expensive watch gleaming on his wrist, and an entourage in tow, he walked in with the presence of a man who belonged. And just like that, the energy shifted. The same salesman who had sized him up and dismissed him before suddenly transformed. Mr. Hart. Wow, what an honor. If we'd known you were stopping by, we would have prepared something special. Kevin smirked. Oh yeah? That's funny. Because I was just here the other day, and you didn't seem too interested then. The salesman stammered, his face flushing as he tried to backpedal. But Kevin wasn't here for an apology. He was here to prove a point. And when the video finally dropped, unedited, raw, and undeniable, the world saw exactly what he had seen. No more excuses. No more maybe it was just a misunderstanding. This was the reality. I don't think that's exactly what I said, Mr. Hart, he managed, his nervous chuckle betraying the panic creeping into his voice. Kevin tilted his head slightly, studying the man. No, he said, keeping his tone casual but firm. Because I remember it real clear. I walked in, just like today, asked about this very car, and you didn't think I belonged here. You told me these cars weren't for casual buyers. That I needed to prove I could afford it before you'd even consider letting me test drive it. Ring any bells? The salesman swallowed hard, his carefully composed demeanor cracking. Around them, the showroom had gone silent. Other customers and staff were now watching, sensing the shift in energy. The polished, perfect world of luxury sales was unraveling in real time. Kevin took a slow step forward, keeping his gaze locked on the salesman. And then, he continued, when another customer chimed in, telling me I should stick to something more practical, you didn't say a word. In fact, you doubled down. Because in your mind, I wasn't a real buyer. I was just some guy wasting your time. The salesman's face was now a shade of red that rivaled the sports car beside them. Kevin let the silence stretch for a moment before finally speaking again. But now that you recognize me, now that you know I can buy this entire showroom if I felt like it, suddenly, I'm worth your time. Suddenly, I deserve respect? The salesman opened his mouth, but no words came out. Marcus, standing off to the side, let out a quiet chuckle. Tasha, still filming, whispered under her breath, "Oh, this is gold." Kevin exhaled sharply, shaking his head. Then, in one smooth motion, he pulled out his phone. With a few taps, he pulled up his bank app, just as he had imagined doing before. He turned the screen toward the salesman, letting the rows of digits speak for themselves. "You wanted proof, right?" Kevin said, his voice unwavering. "Here it is." The salesman blinked rapidly, scrambling for something to say. "Mr. Hart, I truly apologize if there was any misunderstanding before. That was never our intention." Kevin held up a hand, cutting him off. "Save it," he said. "You see, this isn't just about me. It's about everyone who's ever walked into a place like this and been dismissed. Everyone who's ever been treated like they didn't belong just because they didn't look the part. I have the platform to call this out. But most people don't." The silence in the showroom was deafening. Kevin let out a breath, shaking his head again. "You know what? Keep the car." The salesman flinched. "I came in today knowing I could buy anything on this lot," Kevin continued, "but after what I experienced here, twice, why would I want to spend my money in a place that doesn't respect me? That doesn't respect people like me?" He turned away from the red sports car, nodding at Marcus and Tasha. "Let's go." With that, he walked toward the exit, his entourage following close behind. As he reached the door, he glanced back one last time, locking eyes with the older customer in the gray suit. The man looked away first. Outside, the California sun felt warmer than before. Marcus let out a whistle, shaking his head. "Damn, Kev. That was legendary." Kevin smirked, glancing at Tasha. "We got everything?" She held up the phone. "Every single second." Kevin nodded, exhaling deeply. "Good. Now, we let the world see it." And when the video dropped, it wasn't just another viral moment. It was a wake-up call. And this time, nobody could look away. Kevin smirked, leaning back in his chair. "Disturbing me? Nah, man, I've been expecting this call." There was a brief pause on the other end, as if the man was choosing his words carefully. "I wanted to personally reach out and extend my deepest apologies for your experience at our showroom. I can assure you that is not reflective of our values as a company, and we are taking this matter very seriously." Kevin chuckled, shaking his head. "Yeah? You taking it seriously now that the whole world saw it? Or were y'all serious when you let that salesman treat me like I didn't belong? Which one is it, Daniel?" The general manager cleared his throat. I understand why you feel that way, Mr. Hart. And I won't make excuses. We are already implementing mandatory sensitivity training for our staff to ensure something like this never happens again. We value all of our customers equally, and we deeply regret any perception to the contrary." Kevin sat forward, rubbing his chin. "Ain't about perception, my guy. It's about reality. I was there. Twice. I lived it. And so do millions of other people every single day. You're just dealing with it now because I had the platform to put y'all on blast." Another pause. "Mr. Hart, we would love the opportunity to make this right. If you're willing, we'd like to invite you back to the showroom as our guest." Kevin cut him off. "So what? Y'all can roll out the red carpet now? Have the whole team fake smiling for the cameras? I'm good, man. I don't need a free car. I don't need a VIP experience. What I need is for places like yours to treat everybody with respect, not just the ones with celebrity status." The GM sighed, the weight of the conversation clear in his voice. "I hear you, Mr. Hart. And I appreciate your honesty. If there's anything we can do." Kevin exhaled, shaking his head. "Yeah, there is. Don't fix this just for me. Fix it for the next kid who walks in wearing a hoodie and jeans. Fix it for the single mom who saved up every dime to buy a car and doesn't want to be judged the second she steps through the door. Fix it so people don't need a viral video to get treated like human beings." Silence. Then finally, "We will. Thank you for your time, Mr. Hart." Kevin hung up, staring at his phone for a moment before tossing it onto the table. Marcus and Tasha, who had been listening from across the room, exchanged glances. Think they'll actually change? Tasha asked, raising an eyebrow. Kevin let out a slow breath. Maybe. Maybe not. But now, they know the world is watching. Marcus grinned. And that's what they're really scared of. Kevin leaned back, a satisfied smile creeping onto his face. Damn right. The fight wasn't over. Not by a long shot. But today, they'd won. Kevin Hart walked into a luxury dealership and got humiliated, but his comeback changed everything. What started as an ordinary day turned into a wake-up call for an entire industry. Kevin Hart was dismissed, underestimated, and judged by his appearance. But instead of walking away, he turned the moment into something that no one could ignore. Stay till the end, because this isn't just about Kevin. It's about everyone who's ever been told they don't belong. Kevin leaned back in his chair, raising an eyebrow as he listened to the voice on the other end of the phone. He wasn't expecting this. Not at all. Mr. Hart, this is Daniel Rhodes, General Manager of the Beverly Hills dealership. I wanted to personally reach out regarding your recent visit. We've seen the video, and I want to extend our sincerest apologies for the way you were treated. That is not the experience we want our customers to have. Kevin stayed silent, letting the words hang in the air. He'd heard apologies like this before, carefully crafted, damage control statements meant to save face. He wasn't surprised. But he also wasn't impressed. I appreciate the apology, Kevin said, his tone measured. But this isn't just about me. It's about how your staff treated me, and how they probably treat others who don't look like what they expect a serious buyer to look like. Daniel jumped in quickly. Absolutely, Mr. Hart. We are committed to making changes. We're reviewing our internal policies, implementing additional training for our staff, and we truly regret that you felt disrespected. Kevin could hear the desperation in his voice. The dealership was in full damage control mode, scrambling to salvage its reputation. All right, Kevin said. What are you proposing? Daniel hesitated for a moment. As a gesture of our sincerity, we'd like to offer you a complimentary vehicle from our showroom, any model of your choosing. We want you to know you're always welcome here, and we hope this can begin to make up for your experience. Kevin let out a short, humorless laugh. So, you want to give me a car to make this go away? No, Mr. Hart, Daniel said quickly. We don't want to make this go away. We genuinely want to show our appreciation and regret for what happened. Kevin shook his head. He knew exactly what this was, an attempt to buy his silence, to wrap up this whole situation with a neat little bow. Look, Kevin said, his voice firm. I don't need a car. What I need is for your dealership to actually do something meaningful. If you really want to make this right, put your money where your mouth is. Take whatever that car would cost and donate it to a cause that actually makes a difference. Silence. Kevin could almost picture Daniel's stunned expression. I know some organizations that support young black entrepreneurs, Kevin continued. That's where the money should go, not into a car for me. The line was quiet for a long moment before Daniel finally responded, his voice subdued. I understand, Mr. Hart. If that's what you wish, we'd be happy to make that donation. We truly want to make this right. Kevin nodded, satisfied. Good. Because this isn't just about me. It's about making sure no one else has to go through what I did. My team will be in touch with the details. After ending the call, Kevin exhaled deeply. Accepting the car would have been easy. But it wouldn't have changed anything. A donation, though? That could actually make a difference. He immediately called Tasha, explaining what had just happened. Damn, Kev, she said, letting out a low whistle. That's powerful. You really turned this into something positive. That was the goal, Kevin replied. I'm not interested in free cars, I'm interested in seeing real change. And if we can use this moment to do something good, then that's exactly what we're gonna do. Tasha was quiet for a second before her voice softened. You know you're making a lot of people proud, right? Not just your fans, everyone who's ever dealt with this kind of thing. You're showing them they don't have to just take it. Kevin felt a lump in his throat, but cleared it, his voice a little rough when he spoke again. That's all I want, Tasha. I just want people to know they deserve respect, no matter what. And then, the news exploded. Kevin's refusal of the car and his demand for a meaningful donation spread just as fast as the original video. People praised him for his integrity, for refusing to let the dealership buy their way out of the situation. It wasn't just about a viral moment anymore, it was about action. A few days later, the dealership held a press conference. Kevin watched from his living room as Daniel Rhodes stood in front of a row of reporters, his suit a little too tight, his smile a little too forced. We want to sincerely apologize for the experience Mr. Hart had at our dealership, Daniel said, his voice carrying over the buzz of cameras. We have reviewed our policies and are making significant changes to ensure that every customer, regardless of appearance, is treated with respect and dignity. He paused, glancing down at his notes. Additionally, as per Mr. Hart's request, we will be making a substantial donation to an organization that supports equal opportunities for young black entrepreneurs. We are committed to learning from this and doing better. Kevin watched in silence, arms crossed over his chest. It wasn't perfect. He could tell the apology was more about PRs than genuine remorse. But it was a step. And the donation was real. The press conference ended, and Kevin turned off the TV, leaning back in his chair. There was still so much work to be done, so many minds to change. But this was a start. His phone buzzed, a text from Marcus. Proud of you, bro. This is how we make things happen. Kevin smiled, typing a quick response. One step at a time, man. We're just getting started. Because this wasn't just about a car dealership. It was about everyone who had ever been dismissed, belittled, or made to feel like they didn't belong. And Kevin Hart? He wasn't done fighting. Not by a long shot.